Space Harrier always stands out just because it was head and shoulders above anything else in the arcade at the time. And I remember when I was probably about 10 years old, and I had a friend, my neighbor, who lived across the street. We were kind of like rivals. He'd play games, I'd play games. And he went to Disneyland that summer, and I came back from my summer break, and he told me he played a game called Space Harrier. And I didn't know what he was talking about. I thought he was talking about the freaking, like, it had to be a flight simulator, because you think of the word Harrier, I was thinking about the British Harrier, the attack plane, and that's not what it was at all. It was this game. He was trying to describe it to me in all these glowing terms, and he was going crazy. He was just like, that's the best game I ever played. It was at Disneyland. You get into this cockpit, and you fly, and you fight, like space aliens and dragons and mecha from like Robotech, and I what was he talking about? What game looked like that at the time? It was strange. So I was all hyped up for Space Harrier, and I wasn't gonna be able to go to Disneyland, and I never heard of it. But there was an arcade in the mall that finally got Space Harrier in the big rocking moving cabinet, and wow, it was like all my imagination, what he was describing, I had it in my mind, and he just was so descriptive. Then when I finally saw the game for myself, I couldn't believe it myself. So Space Harrier, just with its visual design and its speed and the trademark music, that's what just made the game great. Just the music was so memorable. It still sticks out. I still just listen to the music of the game. So yeah, Space Harrier was really a legendary game. So with Afterburner, the thing I remember most about it was just how fast it was. I mean, even without having the big cabinet, it's still an awesome game to play. Graphics are great, and the technology back then was just second to none. None of the home systems could do it real justice. I had the Mega Drive, I had the Master System. Yeah, it was just, you had to play the arcade. I guess that's how Yu Suzuki and AM2, that's the whole thing. It's like, if you want to have the arcade experience, you just had to go to the arcade. So that's how it was, and that's how it was with this game. There was nothing cooler than Outrun. There was like nothing cooler than this. This was like the it game when it came out, 86. And if you went to an arcade and they had an Outrun cab, they had a full-on, some of them had deluxe Outrun cabs, which were really big. Some of them had smaller ones. But yeah, this was like the it game. And just Testarossa, Ferrari Testarossa. It was all 80s. It was Miami Vice with the white Testarossa, but now you're driving a red Testarossa. It was like the ultimate game. It's like basically all the cool kind of 80s fantasy was 80s coolness, like Sega would just wrap into an arcade game. That's what Outrun was like, you know. I mean, what can you say? In every single Sega arcade game, they always paid particular attention to music. You know, you had the Sega Sound team, and they had these games that just looked better than anything else. They were using those 68,000 processors, you know, 2 at a time. Scaling graphics, great music. I mean, it's just legend. It never dies. It never gets old to me. Or at least the fans, you know how it is. It's like growing up in the arcade. But the thing about Outrun, I was never the greatest at it. I always had friends. I used to just watch those guys play, and they could go through all the routes, and I just love to just watch people play this game and go through the routes and just listen to the music. That's how awesome this game is. Just doesn't get old.